All right, team, how we doing? Coach Dana Cavalea checking in. We got a great week ahead of us. And as we get started on this week, I want to talk to you a little bit about nutrition, specifically your macronutrients. Now, our macronutrients are what, right? Carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Now, when I work with clients, I realize that many of them, one of their first priorities is to get rid of the extra body fat that is tipping the scale in a negative way and also really affecting overall energy, vitality, and honestly self-esteem, because when we're dragging around those few extra pounds, it weighs on us and we're constantly thinking about what's the strategy I could use. And the one thing you always hear is, well, I got to cut my bread, I got to get my pasta, I got to cut my rice, and I want to eliminate my carbohydrates. That's a quick, acute strategy that many use. But what I've seen is it's not just thinking carbs. It's thinking protein, and it's also thinking fats. And I wrote down a formula. I call it the macro danger zone, where it says if you have high carbs, high fat, and low protein, you're in big trouble, right? So if our carbs are high, our sugars are high. If our fats are high, again, we're taking in a lot of calories. And if our protein is down, we don't have the macronutrient that's needed to build lean, striated muscle and good lean muscle tissue. So as you're putting together your daily meals, I want you to keep this formula in consideration, right? I don't want my carbs to be super high. I don't want my fats to be super high if my proteins are low. Now, what would a better ratio look like, right? So I'm gonna grab my pen and I'm just gonna turn our arrows, right? I'm gonna show you what I would prefer your distribution to look like, okay? And with that, you will understand a little bit more about how to structure your meals. So we'll look at the colored arrows, right? I'd like to keep your if you're looking to lean out, I'd like to keep your carbs down from foods like, pastas, breads, muffins, croissants, cookies, foods that are going to hit your system and spike your insulin, right? So let's keep those carbs down, but we could get our carbs through our through our green vegetables, through our fruits that are very fibrous and actually do contain some sugar. But I always say, I don't know anyone that ever got fat from eating too many apples. It's when you have high carbs from some of the sources I discussed that are high in sugar, and you have high fat, low protein, and then you're taking the sugar in excess from the fruits. But again, let's keep our carbs moderate to low. And let's make sure we're getting those from our fruits and vegetables. Our fats, the arrow goes up and down because we don't want our fat to be super high, but we don't want it to be super low either. And if we're taking in enough protein and we elevate that protein profile, especially through fish, fatty fish, lean meats, and it could be red meat. I don't like to have red meat more than twice a week, oftentimes once a week. And then also good chicken sources. You can even go with, there's some really good canned tuna out there that sits in olive oil that you can take on. All of that's going to lift your protein profile, and as a result, your fat's going to be at the right level, right? So that's what I like to focus on. Keep the carbs low, fats moderate to higher, and then get the protein up. And if we could do this for a good 6 weeks or so, we're going to really start to feel our body change, and we're going to most importantly see our body change, and you're going to get rid of some of that, hopefully a lot of that junk weight, when you combine that with a good, strong exercise routine that's progressive, that's a balance of conditioning, both aerobic and anaerobic, as well as introducing a good solid weight training routine. And then you have your morning routine, your night routine together. So a morning routine, night routine, conditioning, aerobic, anaerobic, as well as a good solid weight training routine. When you put all of that together and you stay on top of your macronutrients, you could do really well. So how do we understand real quick our macronutrients? How do we know what we're eating and what we're taking in? Very simply, for those of you that coach with me, you can put it into your app that we use, or you can use something simple like MyFitnessPal. Super simple. You can see your distribution in a graphical depiction as to what your protein was for the day, what your carbs were, and what your fats were, and what the ratio was. And it's kind of cool because it creates a pie chart for you, and you can say, wow, I've taken in a lot of carbs, I've taken in a lot of fat, and I've taken in very little protein. And then you could work to change that ratio day to day, and you can start to get that formula right. And as you start to get that formula right with the higher protein, the lower carbs, the moderate to semi-higher fat, and you look at it, then you're going to say, wow, how do I feel when I hit those good days, day after day, day after day, day after day? And you may start to feel your energy spiking. For some, you may actually feel yourself drop. But let's stay with it and see where we're at. And we can start to say, based on my macronutrient ingestion, how is my energy playing out? And when I understand how all that works, then I can start to create the formula that works for me or for you, something personalized. And when we have that down, we have a really good chance of winning, because we'll start to say, hey, when I train and I exercise on this day and I use this macronutrient formula, I feel amazing. But when I use this macronutrient formula and I don't exercise or train, I may feel slow or sluggish. So we have to figure out what the proper ratio is for you, which is going to be different than me, and how that works best for what you're trying to achieve in terms of energy, physique, and obviously getting rid of any junk weight that is the result of excess body fat. So when we could nail that, we got a really good chance of winning. And I know we can do that, but let's start to think about our macronutrients and the ratio of macronutrients. Let's get our protein up, keep our fat moderate to semi-high, and get the carbs down. Let's do that for a 4 to 6 week period and reevaluate and see where we're at. I would be perfectly okay with your protein high, fat moderate, carbs low, 4 to 6 weeks. Let's see where you're at, leaning out, and then we can rework that ratio if that's not serving you. But let's start to get some intel on how we are fueling our body at a deeper level, and start really tracking what's going on from the macronutrient level. Okay? So I always say health starts at a cellular level first, and that's what this is focused on. Getting our body to work well at the cellular level, and as a result, our physique will show itself in a better direction when we get that right. So again, Coach Dana Cavalea, simple lesson for this week. I hope you enjoy. Stay focused on your plan, morning routine, night routine, goalposts, and own your day, own your schedule, and most importantly, own your mind. And as a result, your body will come along for that ride. This is Coach Dana Cavalea. I hope you enjoy. Let's go get it this week. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.